Welcome back to Grief Inspired. My name is Catherine McNulty, and I bring light to the darkness of grief. And I'm so glad that you found my videos. So what you found is a 5-part video series. This happens to be video number 5 on early grief. And this particular video is the things to watch out for as you embark on your grief journey. So if you haven't watched the other 4 videos plus the intro video, I want to encourage you to go back and watch all of those, because this is the 5th video in the 5-part series. And if you've missed those, you are going to want to go back, because the information there is going to be very helpful for you, I am sure. So in this video, video number 5, this is the things to watch out for. Now, as always, my goal is to bring light to the darkness of grief. I want to give you hope that you can get through this grief process. I want to make sure that you are supported along the way. And as always, I want to remind you that you don't have to do this alone. I am here to walk with you, to teach you, to help answer your questions and comments, so that you don't have to go through this grief journey alone. It's hard enough that you shouldn't have to do it alone. So in this video, we're going to talk about the things to watch out for. These are the things that, as you're going through the grief process, these are the things that are going to slow you down, prevent you from getting happiness that we're ultimately going for, because yes, you can be happy after loss. These are the things that are going to trip you up, that are going to keep you stuck, that are really just going to make the process more difficult for you. And I really don't want that. One of the main reasons why I make these videos is because, for me personally, when I got what I consider to be on the other side of my grief, when I started feeling better, I looked back on my journey and I said to myself, this could have been so much easier if I had known these things. And so I want to share those with you. And that's really what's propelled me to want to create these videos for you, to help you so that it doesn't take you as long and you don't get as tripped up as I did along the way. And I have a bunch of videos where I've shared that I was tripped up for a good 2 years. A good 2 years until my second son was born, after I had lost my first son. And it's a big deal. That 2 years is a long time. So if I can save you that 2 years or condense down that 2 years, then I feel like that is my mission, that is my job and my obligation. So let's talk about this. Again, in the last video, I talked about grief inspired and what I considered grief inspired to be. And I considered the end game for grief, or where we're all headed, right? You can't get anywhere if you don't know where you're headed. Well, the end game is to find happiness again, and to get to a place where not only you accept the loss, but you have meaning, you understand what the loss means for you. And then maybe you start to think about, well, hey, what can I do? What do I need to put out into the world? Who do I need to be or create or share to show and to find fulfillment in everything that I've gone through as part of my grief journey? So the things to watch out for as you're going along this journey are things like avoidance. So I've said it before, and I'll say it again, that the only path through grief is, or the only path out of grief is through it. So the only cure for grief is to grieve, meaning you can't avoid your grief. Avoiding your grief will only delay the inevitable. It'll cause a lot of problems. So my take on it is you might as well start now, because the sooner you start, the sooner you're going to get through it. Watch out and pay attention to yourself if you start to avoid feeling grief. Now, again, if you need to take a respite and say, okay, I need to take an afternoon off and watch a Netflix series or lay in bed for a day, that's okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about long-term avoidance, where you're just refusing to look at anything. You're refusing to look at your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts. You're just pushing it all aside and trying to just press on without dealing with your grief. That is that is something that you definitely want to watch out for. The second thing that you want to watch out for is people who aren't helpful. Now, it's really important all the time. I say, do not grieve alone. But maybe what I should be saying is make sure you're grieving with the right people. Make sure that you have supportive people who get what you're going through. If they have not had a similar type of loss, if they do not know themselves the pain of deep grief, do not listen to them. They will often offer you advice, which is intended to be helpful, but it likely won't be helpful. So make sure that you find the people who are helpful for you. It might be a therapist, but it might not. Sometimes people come to me and tell me therapists are not helpful. It could be your family. Sometimes people struggle the most because we think that our family is going to be there to support us because that's what our expectation is. But sometimes they're not the right people to be able to support us. Sometimes they're just a little bit too close. So that's why, as a coach, I am a third-party person who's been through deep grief, who knows what the grief process is like, has come out the other side. And so when I offer suggestions and advice and things to try, it's typically going to be much more beneficial than some random advice from somebody who thinks they know what might be best for you. So be on the lookout for that. That's something to watch out for. Number 3 is too much of anything. So if you start doing a lot of any one thing, there's likely a problem. So too much food, too much alcohol, too much sleeping, too much TV binging, too much isolation. You get the idea. Too much of anything when it comes to grief could be a sign that you need more support. And so if that happens, reach out to me, reach out to a therapist, a coach, a counselor, reach out to your clergy, whoever that is. But that is a sign, a thing to watch out for that you might need more help. Number 4, things to watch out for. You have to watch out for your thoughts. Now, there's a lot that's going off in your head right now. People talk about, and I have videos about the process of rumination. So rumination is rumination, and rumination is the thought process where you play the events over and over and over again in your mind. It's the thing that keeps you up in the middle of the night. Oftentimes is the reason why you can't sleep. That is one thing to pay attention to. But in addition to that, observing what thoughts you're telling yourself. It is very easy to go down deep, dark thoughts very quickly. And the reality is that the more negative or painful thoughts that you think in your head, the worse your experience is going to become. Every time you have a thought process, you are building a neural connection in your brain. And the more you go over and over what we consider to be negative or not positive thoughts, the really painful, deep, dark, scary thoughts, the more of that you do, the worse you are going to feel. So be careful what you tell yourself and use wording. I have some affirmation videos or some mantra videos that I've put in here that are things like, okay, I'm having a not great day today, but I'm on the healing process. I'm taking care of myself today. I am deep in grief, but I'm going to be okay. So reminding yourself that you can get through this, that you shouldn't do it alone, that all of these things, just pay attention to what's going on in your head. And if you have the negative thoughts that are going off too much, then I want to encourage you to reach out to me or reach out to a therapist or reach out to someone and just say, like, I got to get these thoughts out of my head because they're too much and they're not going to support you. So just watch out for those. Rather put things that are more positive into your head, because finding the negative ones is not going to be hard. Finding the positive ones is going to be more difficult. And that's why, I created this grief journal, and you can find it down in the description below. But one of the sections in this journal is says, today I choose to find gratitude for what I have rather than what I lost. So it's easy to go through all of the things that you've lost and what you're missing and what you wish you still had when it comes to your loved one. It's more challenging, but also more beneficial to say, what did I have? What did they bring into my life? What did I love about them? Why am I a different, better person for knowing them? What are the things that make me smile about them? What are the things that I love about them? So moving your thoughts in that direction is definitely going to be beneficial. So observe your thoughts and be careful what thoughts you tell yourself in your head. And then finally, the fifth thing to watch out for is do not grieve alone. I say this over and over again, and people still grieve alone. Getting support, asking for help, finding a coach like myself, going to see a therapist is not a sign of weakness. Let me say that again. It is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign that you want to get better. It's a sign that you want to heal, that you want to feel better. It's a sign that you want something different. And so there are other people like myself in this video, like coaches or counselors or clergy or whoever it is that you find that can help you along the way. Other people who have been through the grief process, who can understand what you're going through, who have learned how to unravel their own grief and be able to share that with you. So that's super important. And so those are all the things to watch out for. And here we are at the end of our fifth video of this 5-part early grief series. And I am hoping that these have helped you to get ready for the rest of your journey, because again, this is not an overnight process. You are on a grief journey. I want you to have hope that you can get through this. I definitely want to make sure that you're feeling supported as you go through it. I want to give you the education that you need. There are tons of tools that you can find on my channel here. So search around. If you have specific questions about what videos you should watch next or where you should go, I want to encourage you to reach out to me directly at griefinspired@gmail.com. If you need one-on-one coaching, I would be more than happy to help you with that. The reality is that you should not grieve alone and that you can do this thing. And wherever you happen to be in the grief process is exactly the right place. You can continue to move forward. You can continue to learn, and you can find happiness again. So if there is any other way that I can help you find the happiness that you're looking for and take back control of this crazy time of your life, please reach out to me and let me know, because that is why I'm here. And every time I help one of you, I'm giving honor to my son, Jackson Robert, who lived and died so that I could become the person that I'm becoming today. So I'm going to sign off this with saying, thanks you, Jackson, for giving me everything that I've learned and for allowing me to help all of these wonderful, amazing people who deserve to get through grief on their own process and in their own time. And as always, I love you, Jack. So thank you to all of you for watching these videos. If you have comments, please, please, please leave them below, and I will be sure to respond to each and every one of them personally. Take care for now.